Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Return to Work Week, powered by Workingmums.co.uk. I'm Gillian Nissim, I'm the founder of Working Mums, and I'm your host today. Working Mums has been supporting job seekers for a better work-life balance for over 17 years, and we're really excited to introduce Return to Work Week. The idea of the week is really to put a spotlight on those organisations who are supporting women who want to return to work after a career break by offering work that works for them, as well as providing expert advice on everything from CV writing to negotiating flexible working. In this webinar, you'll find out how to launch your career in tech with Supermums. And I'm really delighted to welcome Heather Black, who is the founder and CEO of Supermums. Offering training courses, Supermums has helped over 1,000 people globally to transition to a career in tech and gain a flexible career. And Heather's joined us today to help you with training and support to launch your career in tech. Please, throughout this session, please ask any questions you may have using the chat function, and we'll aim to answer as many of those as we can, probably a little bit further towards the end of the session. But let's kick off. Heather, thank you again for joining us today. It's great to have you. First question, can you tell us why you set up Supermums?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's lovely to meet you, Gillian, and to be part of this week, because obviously we're very aligned on the same mission and passion we have to support women to find a flexible, well-paid career, because I think that's nothing more than we deserve with everything that we're juggling as well. So I had to sort of find a new career option for myself, and it was at a time when I was just about to start a family and we were moving out of the city, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, how do I find something that's paid me what I did before, and make this successful? And the reason for that is I had been previously running a coaching business, which was very heavily funded by public sector contracts, because we delivered free support to people that was funded. And it was at the time that we had the new political party came in and changed, so all the government funding streams changed, and so I was sort of left with a business that was not as sustainable as it previously was, and that was my pivot, really. And I think, like many of you, obviously being part of this week, I'm thinking, well, what's out there for me? What can I do? And I had to go back to almost like those school days of going, right, what career, should I do or could I do? And it really takes a lot of courage and commitment to doing that research. So thank you to all of you who joined today, because you're doing that research. And whether you walk away from this session going, oh, I want to find out more, which we can definitely help you with, or going, actually, I don't think that's right for me. Either way, I'd encourage you just to do as much research, talk to people as much as possible and find out. And that's why I found myself was doing that research. Now, with Supermums, I'd sort of gone through this journey myself, which is why I felt other mums could pursue it. So I ended up pivoting and becoming a Salesforce consultant. And the reason that I did that, Salesforce is a client relationship management system. A client relationship management system is like the living, beating heart of a business or a non-profit. And when I had my previous non-profit organisation, we had used the CRM to manage all our client communications, all the delivery we were doing with them, all our marketing activity. And due to having that system in place, it had helped me scale my non-profit from 100k to 1.3 million in a year. And we've gone from 4 staff to 40 staff. So you can imagine the amount of data we're producing, the amount of team members that we're sort of managing. And having this Salesforce system at the heart of the organisation, managing all that customer information and interactions and having it stored in one place was paramount to us being successful and reporting back to government, so we could draw the money down to fund what we were doing. And so I've become very passionate about Salesforce as a system. I had having no CRM background before, no tech experience. I'd actually sat with Salesforce licenses for 3 years and didn't really have a clue what it did until somebody showed me what it did. So hence the importance of just finding out more and understanding it, because if you live in the dark and you don't do your research, you don't know. And that was me, right? I sat with these free licenses for 3 years, not really knowing what the system could do for me. And then somebody did a demo for me. I was like, oh, now I get it. Okay, I'll start using it. And then that transformed my business growth. So I was passionate about it. And what I realized was that with my background as business coaching, I often sat down with business owners and we're sitting down asking them, what are your goals? How are you measuring that? What are your processes? How do we improve your processes? What's working, what's not working? And so I'll talk about the types of job roles going forward, but those types of questions that I was asking and working with businesses was very much aligned to what we call a business analyst role. And so I started to discover that actually within the Salesforce industry, there were 6 different job roles, which, as I say, we will touch on later on in the chat. And so I pivoted and I invested in training to pivot. But with doing that meant that I suddenly ended up having £400 day rates. I was working 3 days a week, earning 60k, and that wasn't pro rata. I was able to have my first daughter and then my second daughter, and I'd be able to work virtually from home, earning a really great salary, working with lots of nonprofits, helping them implement Salesforce to power their own, fundraising strategies, their volunteer strategies and things like that. And after 4 years of doing that, I was like, other women should be able to do this job. Like, this is absolutely achievable. It's really fun. You get to help businesses, you help to make people happy because they've got a more productive workplace. And learning the technology is not hard. It's not coding, it's clicks. You can go down a coding route, but that's what was my inspiration for Supermums. I was really realized the privilege that I'd had to know about this industry and, to do a bit of research into it. And I really wanted to spread the mission. So November 2016, I launched the course. We had 3 people join. And I was like, okay, we'll start with 3. Now we have 240 a year go through the admin course. And we also have the Marketing Cloud course and the consultancy skills course. So we continue to develop your skill sets, or people can specialize. And we went accidentally global. So people join the courses virtually from all over the world. 1/3 of our trainees are in the USA, the rest are in EMEA and a few in APAC. And so we really do have a truly international audience of people that are now benefited. And I'll tell you more about obviously what Supermums does in a nutshell as part of the course. But that's how I launched Supermums, Gillian.
Amazing. What a story. I love that. And yeah, coming from a non-tech background into, I mean, Salesforce is like, as you say, it's a heartbeat, isn't it, in an organization, especially small businesses and not-for-profits and massive companies as well. Who then, looking at your background, who then would you say the program is for?
Well, you know what, that's really interesting, is there's no qualification criteria for launching a career in tech. And we have what we call trailblazers in the Salesforce ecosystem. And Salesforce love to share stories of trailblazers, all the different backgrounds that people have come from and transferable skills. I think there's some attributes that are really important if you want to consider it. One is that you're not scared of learning new tech and always finding solutions, right? In the Salesforce space, every day is a school day. You've got a problem, like, oh, how do I fix that? Let me go and find out. And you will never know the answers to everything. Every project that I worked on, and we had 700 projects through my Salesforce consultants in the end with 350 clients. Even with the smallest nonprofits, I'd be like, I'll go away and research that. I'm not quite sure how to work it out. So you've got to have this thirst for learning technology. You've got to have good communication skills and leadership skills, because you're facilitating people. You're facilitating upwards to managers. You're facilitating down to users. You're kind of getting the managers bought in and explaining to them the power of technology and the way that it can benefit their business. So then they give you money and time and resources. And then the end users, you've kind of got to nurture and say, right, guys, I'm going to introduce this new technology to you. I'm going to train you on it, and you've got to sell it to them as well. So really good people management skills is really important. A lot of customer service as well. So you're, making sure that people feel they're listened, they're heard, and you're kind of managing people as stakeholders. So customer service is a really a sort of skill that people look for. The other is an appetite for business. So if you've been that person in a business previously, like, gosh, things aren't working right, how do I fix it? And you sit down and look at processes and you try and fix those things with a team and you resolve it. it's those natural abilities to not just sit there and go, oh, it's broken, and be frustrated. It's those people that go in and go, right, what could we do better here? How do we resolve it? So you've got to be that problem solver, that process improvement person. You've got to really relish those types of things. I think the final sort of transferable attribute is industry experience. So Salesforce is not industry specific, right? It's a client relationship management system that is put into lots of different industry verticals. So employers want to hire people with that industry experience, because that's the thing they can't teach. They can teach you how to use Salesforce and how that works, right? And anybody can learn that, but they can't teach you years of working in the financial sector, or years of working in the automotive sector, or years of working in the health. So you might be in automotive, you might be in finance, you might be in health, you might be in non-profit, you might be in media, you might be in tech, literally every industry vertical you can think of, to be fair, Salesforce is using, and it is the #1 CRM platform in the world, and that's proven through statistics. It's used by the majority, 99% of the FTSE 100 companies, over 150,000 companies, and over 30,000 non-profits. And those stats will have gone up since I sort of did it. So a lot of big businesses, small businesses, non-profits use it. And so it's those industry experience that you want to sell. So when I moved into this space, I felt very familiar, speaking to entrepreneurial leaders. And I felt when I launched my career in Salesforce, I was early 30s. So it's like 12 years ago, and I felt very privileged to be facilitating a workshop with a lot of senior leaders who were older than me, and they'd all look at me for like trust and guidance. And I, that was so rewarding to feel like I was bringing value to them, that I was helping them improve the efficiency of their organization, helping them to improve their profit, to make employees happier because things are, more efficient and easier for them as well. And it's very rewarding role. I always say actually being in a Salesforce role is about making people happier, right? Because everything ticks the boxes. You're there to solve all these problems. And as a mum, that's my maternal instinct. It's like cleaning a house. You go in and clean the business up, or the non-profit, and you're like, right, let's just like put all the pains, have a counselling session, tell me all your problems. It's like a counselling session. And then you go in and say, oh, we can solve that. And they're like, oh my God, that would be amazing. And then so you go away you feel so proud of what you've been able to do for this organization, and you've cleaned it all up, you've got all new processes, and that's great. So I think if you've got any of those transferable skills or those types of traits, then they're the types of attributes and skills people are looking for in a Salesforce role. A lot of jobs will say, oh well, we need 2 years experience. I mean, they're never going to put on a job spec, we want 0 years experience. But when they say experience, they aren't just talking about Salesforce technology. Now, some of you who are listening might have used Salesforce before in a previous job, as an end user, or be familiar with it, or another CRM. The reality is the experience you have is all transferable. So if you've, in any of those areas I've talked about, like people management, communication skills, process improvement, in implementing new technology, learning new technology, all of those things are completely relevant to this job and align with project management skills, business analysis skills, change management skills. Like before I went into this industry, I wouldn't have ever called myself a business analyst. But having looked at my role as a business coach in terms of sitting down with business owners, I'm like, oh, I am a business analyst. I've never really thought about it. So you just, you need to change on your CV. I have done project management, or I have done business analysis. If you feel that you've done those types of things, maybe not formally called yourself that, but you certainly have. And then it's whether you want to get the certifications. So, that's what I would say is most transferable skill sets. And I can talk about the different job roles as well as we go through.
Yeah, I think that would be really interesting to hear actually the different pathways on the programme, because there are several, aren't there? So it'd be great to hear more about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did this great little quiz actually, and if you sign up, the link's been shared, I believe, as part of this session. So there's a 5-day challenge you can do, which just educates you, but there's also a quiz, and I put together a quick quiz that looks at your parenting attributes. I mean, if you're not a parent, you can liken it to perhaps, your relationship with other people. But actually based on, it was very easy to look at your parent attributes and almost align yourself to 5 or 6 different job roles. And so it kind of really allows you to go, oh, actually, I'd be really good at this job role, and you can explore it more. So I'm going to liken it to a house. If you're building a house, so imagine the house is your CRM system. It sort of contains, you've got a room for your sales team, a room for your marketing team, a room for your customer service, a room for your delivery. You're building a house. Now, before you even get to the house being built, you've got somebody called a business analyst, and your business analyst is like your architect. They're going to sit in that room. They're going to listen to everybody's needs and requirements. They're going to be like the counselor. They're going to be the problem solver. They're going to be inspiring people about what technology could do to solve their problems. As a business analyst, you don't even need to touch the tech. You don't need to build anything. What you're doing is just helping them understand how technology can improve their processes, suggesting improvements to them, and rewriting how they might run as a team. And so what you're doing is building out process maps. You're writing up what the new requirements might be, what technology they might need. And at that point, you can then hand it over to the builder. And the builder who builds the house is what we call like a Salesforce administrator, but then you can progress to a Salesforce developer. Now, a Salesforce administrator will do clicks, and that's what I loved about the system. It's almost, I don't know if any of you've got like a website background where you might do WordPress, where you can drag and drop things on fields, you can build fields. So an admin, for example, if I had a new client, if I was using the system to manage clients, I'd want to say, right, well, I want to capture their email address, their phone number, what their preferences are, any other information. And what you're doing is building that out in the system, so the sales team can manage their sales prospects, where they're at. The customer service team can manage the customer care support, and the Salesforce admin will build the system. Now, if you want the bells and whistles and some more advanced features that aren't out of the box, that's where a developer comes in. So if you've got an appetite for learning code, you can really earn well progressing as a developer. So that's another good sort of track to go down. Now, once you've built, to coordinate that a little bit, you've got a project manager. So obviously, when you're building a house, you've got lots of people working on site, building different things. You might have technical consultants as well that specialize in different areas, and you can specialize in certain products and niches in Salesforce. So you can, wear your certain hats, but a project manager comes in. So if you're the type of person that coordinates everybody and likes to make sure that everything's on time and budget, and again, not really get techie, but you understand what people are building, talking their language and understanding the product is really useful as a project manager. So in all of these roles, it's important to have the foundation skills to then go into those roles. So a project manager is the people and organizer, right? To make sure everything is on time and budget. Everybody knows from the client side or from the technical side what needs to happen at what point. So we've kind of got the BA, we've got the admin and developer who will build, you've got the project manager who's overseeing it all. If you like a bit of all of that, you can be a Salesforce consultant. And a Salesforce consultant could be a quasi BA, admin, project manager. They could be one of the two of those roles, three of those roles. It depends on what company you work in as to, how they split out a consultant role. So a Salesforce consultant allows you to still have a little bit more variety. And then you can be, if you are that type of person, again, I'm just likening it to my things in my quiz. Say when you built the house, you want to sell it. Like you could be the estate agent. So if you are that type of parent or individual that loves selling things to their friends, oh, you must try this, it's amazing, it'll do the world of good. You might be the estate agent person. And I actually really loved selling the product to nonprofits. I've worn all of these hats over my many years of working in Salesforce. And what I loved about the sales role is that you could listen to their problems and understand them, build a little demo, share with them what's possible, and like, oh, it's amazing, and then you close the deal and you get a bit of a kick from that. And then I hand over to the BA and the admin and everything to do everything else, right? So that's quite it's kind of very front end. So you've got lots of different roles you can go into, and with each of those roles there is a different set of personalities and attributes. The other lens to put on this is that there's two distinct areas where you can work. One is if you are in a consultancy type environment, what you are doing is going into an organization and setting everything up, and then you're walking out again after like maybe 5 months or a year, depending on the size of the operation. And then you go and do it for another organization. What I love about that personally because it suits my personality profile, is it's a lot of variety. You know, I go into a business, see how it runs, set it all up, and then I come out and then I'm in another project. That really suits people that love to learn on the job, you know, like the challenge of finding out everything new, solving all the problems, fixing it and walking out, and then you don't get bored. For people that don't like to be always in that space where it always feels like, oh, everything's changing and everything's new, you can work as the in-house Salesforce team. And so once you've implemented a system and the consultants walked out, what then happens is you've got a team managing and maintaining the system in-house. So if you like to be part of an organization, you like to feel integral in a team, you like to know everything really well, you want to fine-tune everything, you want to help everybody, and you're the very nurturing type of person. It's like, you know, your family effect, really. You're looking after all of your kids using Salesforce. That suits you. You might be better placed as an in-house Salesforce, an in-house team. It could be a BA or an admin or a project manager in-house, because then you can stay there for as long as you want. There will be new products, there will be new things, but you might bring in a consultancy in to help with that, so it's not all on your shoulders. And so I always say there's two different routes that you could go down, you know, from that side. So lots of variety. You know, there is a job that suits everybody if it's something of interest. And so that gives you a little bit of flavour of what you could do. I think the progression of earnings, so everybody says, well, what, you know, I talk about people earning 60k, which is very achievable. But what you need to do is 60k a year is have that learning development plan, you know, which on average people can do it over 2 years. We've just had somebody do it in a year, and she's increased her salary by 20k. And that's because she's like keen, motivated, you know, wants that. And we've had other people do that too, don't get me wrong, like people who you know, complete trailblazers in my view, is because they decided to work part-time initially to get all their stats up, and then they're earning more. So actually they're earning really well part-time. And so you can choose to do it, you know, depending on your financial circumstances. You can progress quickly, but what you have to do is keep learning, keep getting more certifications, you know, learn the additional skills. It requires an investment, but the ROI on the investment is really good.
Brilliant. I mean, there's so much information there, Heather. It's fantastic. So just, I mean, coming back to a couple of points. So in terms of skills and experience, I think you've covered a lot of that in terms of there being, you know, transferable skills are really key. That kind of problem solving, good communication skills. Are there, and you've also said people come with all sorts of different qualifications or very few qualifications, but is there anything specific that anyone needs or not at all? So it's don't need a degree, don't need. And then bring it back to what Supermums, what you offer. What do you offer in terms of training and support, and how is that flexible? Is it, I mean, how do people get up and running? With you?
An absolutely great question. Thank you, Gillian. So the reason I set up Supermums in the way that I did is my background ever since I left university in 2001, which feels like a long time ago, has been about helping design employability programs on a national level. So I worked with a lot of government authorities, designed employability programs to help people back into work, as well as start up businesses. I then had my own non-profit that helped people back into work. I actually helped young professionals, so we targeted originally 18 to 30-year-olds to support them with their career prospects and setting up businesses. So that was my background. So through pivoting to a Salesforce consultant and then setting up Supermums, I merged, if you like, both my employability passion and Salesforce passion. And having done all of that research, there's some key ingredients that help people relaunch their career successfully. And that's why I positioned around, I call it the 9 different pillars at Supermums. So technical training, you want really good quality assured technical training. So at Supermums, we're an authorized Salesforce training provider. It is the best training you will get out there because it's up to date, it's certified by Salesforce, it's their content. We're an authorized provider, but we heavily discount the pricing to what Salesforce charge for that commercially. So it's $1,000 cheaper than what we normally charge, but we have to have certified instructors to pay for that. So we obviously take a bit of a hit on that one to discount it for our audience. So you want to get really good quality training. Then you want to have a mentor. So we provide everyone with a one-to-one mentor who meets with them weekly for 1 to 2 hours, and we'll go through everything they've learned, check their practical homework, go through it with them, and then tick off a homework record. So that person's seen the quality of your work and can act as a reference for you and help you if you haven't quite understood something. So that happens over this 12-week period where you're doing the technical training aspect of doing everything. So you've got somebody that's holding your hand, helping you through that learning curve when your confidence is up or down. And those mentors are absolutely incredible. We get some fantastic feedback because they're all people who are seasoned in the industry and can share with you so much more than just the technical skills, you know, the wider introduction to the Salesforce space. We then also give you work experience, offer you the opportunity to get work experience on your CV. So we do that through offering you pro bono work with charities, which you can apply for. So that's up to 48 hours. You might do it all in a week, but typically you wouldn't do, because we say to people the expectation is you dedicate 16 hours a week to the programme. So it depends how quickly you want to do it, but you can then get hands-on experience with a non-profit working alongside your mentor and somebody else who's an experienced Salesforce preferred person in the non-profit. So that sort of works really well for that. You're part of a peer cohort. So as I say, we've kind of got 60 people going, that they're not all on one class. We break that out into two. So you've got cohorts of people just like you, and people love that because they've got this WhatsApp group and an online Slack channel as well, where they can connect with their peer cohort, support each other, and they find that amazing. And so they all get together when we meet up at events and get to know each other in person. They really form new friendships. So you're not in it in isolation. And that creates, all of this creates the accountability, the motivation and structure. I don't know if any of you are like me, but if I buy an online course online, I never blooming well do it because I'm not any structure. So we have a structure where you have to do homework every week. You've got a timetable, the mentor checks and approves it, a homework record submitted. So you've got very clear deliverables and accountability all the way through. You've then, if you once you've done all of the training, you get your certification. So we do study groups for this certification. And so you pass that, we give you a discount code for the voucher for the certification. And once you've done that, then you can do your work experience and sort of move through to that stage and obviously start applying for jobs. And we provide you with career coaching, employability support. We help you get your LinkedIn profile and CV all in place. People, through getting their LinkedIn and CV profile correct, or their LinkedIn profile predominantly, 6 interviews and 3 job offers. Like, you know, that is incredible because the Salesforce Ohana is very loud and proud on LinkedIn. Everybody pats each other on the back, helps each other, and is supportive. So by joining Supermums, people are already part of a community with 1,200 people in it, of which a lot of them are already in work. Over 75% of them have successful outcomes. So you've kind of got this whole support infrastructure. And we don't leave you after that. You're part of this community for life. We continue to give you free educational support to get additional certifications. We do provide then other ongoing training, paid opportunities like our consultancy skills course and our marketing cloud course if you want to advance your skill sets, which means you can earn more. So there's always a clear ROI to these things. And so you're part of it for life. So it's a very family feel. You know, we package everything around you. We've got a training manager. So if you've got any problems, our support team, you can log a case and the team are there to support you, you know, within obviously a 24-hour turnaround. And so we aren't just something where you go online and do it yourself. And most people who do that, because people have said, you know, well, we can learn Salesforce for free because there's various free courses. The reality is if you just learn the technical thing and you don't have any of that other stuff around you, it's going to be a lot harder to get a job. And so you might get one, but it might be 6 months later, in which case, you know, there's no ROI there. And actually without work experience, without references, without a community where you could get jobs through the community and get work shadowing, it's very difficult. So we put together this very robust program to kind of help people launch their career.
Sounds fantastic and really thought through, and that ability to fit it with family life. I mean, it's so important. It's what so many of us, you know, really need. And just, I mean, I can see questions coming through, but before we move on to the questions, Heather, I mean, what would the next steps be for somebody who wants to apply for the training course for Supermums?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, going back on your flexibility point, what I will say is, even though we encourage people to do 16 hours a week, which is what it would take, the live training session is 3 hours a week. So you only really have to be online for 3 hours at a certain time. That's recorded though. So if you can't make it, you can still access it. So we've had people who work full time who've done the whole course in their own hours and not turned up for that live session either. So, you know, people say, can I do it full time? You can if you can provision 16 hours, you know, because there is that much work to do to get you set up for success. Some people can't do it all in that. You know, we say the training period is 4 months to get your certification. After that, you can either get a job straight away, because some people do, or you can apply for the work experience element. So you've got that on there. So, you know, we'd be looking at you getting a job within the 6 to 9 month period. If people want to find out more and learn more about this and listen to stories, that's where we've got this free 5-day challenge, which you can sign up to. I also have 2 full-time career we call them customer success coaches, and you can book in a time with them at any point to discuss your transferable skills, what the career options are, what our training includes, ask any questions. And you also get a career plan template, and the career plan template is where you can write down all of these things, you know, to make sense of it all. Because if you're starting a business and investing in a business, you write a business plan. What I say to people is you need the same with a career plan. If you're talking to your partner or your parents or whatever about this, you need to have it all written down, like, this is what I could earn, this is what the investment is, this is the career path, this is my transferable skills. Like, get it all written down on paper, so it feels solid to you, that you're feeling really confident that you can do it. And likewise, you can then almost pitch it to anybody else in your family, because if your partner, you know, quite often will have their husbands on the phone with the woman, because, you know, they want to know, well, where are we spending this money and what does it include? And that's fine too. Like, if you need to do that, both get on the call. But the career plan template allows you to do that. Our career coaches help you. So there's loads of support to help you explore it. No hard sell from us. Obviously, if you want to, great. If you don't, it's not for you. That's absolutely fine. You know, you can opt out from us. You can say to us, you're not interested. You know, that's absolutely fine also, of course.
That all those options are there, which is amazing. I mean, one question here is, how much is the training?
Yeah,
What
so
was the price?
so it's just over £2,000 for the admin course. But if you were thinking about the day rates you could earn, you might start on day rates of 200. So you've paid that off in 10 days. So you have to think from that. I mean, I started on £400 day rates because I had more transferable skills. And so if you've got transferable skills in business analysis or other products already, you might start on £400 too, in which case, you know, for me, I was like, well, I paid that off in 4 days. Why wouldn't I do the course? So, you know, you've got to liken it to the ROI and look at this from a business, you know, like you would a business plan, basically.
Absolutely. And with lots of support to then get work quite quickly afterwards. And just reminding everyone that we've got a link in the chat to Supermums, where you can find out more, and the 5-day challenge. Other questions, again, can you go from little Salesforce experience to training as a developer, or do you need to do courses before that?
Depends on your background. So some people will jump to a junior developer quite quickly after they've done admin because they've got previous experience of coding. I mean, we had one of our supermums, Erica Everly, she's on our website. She went straight into a junior developer job with no Salesforce code, you know, no Salesforce admin or developing background. She just trained up as an admin and development skills, and she got her junior developer job on a great salary because she did the training. So you know, she's not, you know, people say, oh, you're special if you can do that. She's, you know, she just did the groundwork and she learned, and she took the time to do the developer and decided to jump straight into that. Similarly, we have people that do our admin and consultancy skills course straight away because they want to go straight into consultancy. So there's no starting job role that you don't have to be an admin to then move into the other roles. You can step straight into a BA or a consultant role, but you might have to invest a little bit more in some of the training and you know, time and effort into the training to do that.
Yeah. And I guess that's where the quiz is really helpful in helping you to work out what might suit you, at least initially, and moving from there. I mean, any other examples of different backgrounds people have come from?
Yeah, well, Nicola was a florist, and during lockdown she decided that she, you know, it wasn't able to work for her, and she wanted more flexibility, and so she transitioned from being a florist and did that. We have quite a few teachers, So teachers have natural training skills and are great with end users and teaching them technology, because that's a big part of it as well, is that you're implementing this and then teaching people to use it, and user adoption is the critical piece. So with somebody with a teaching background, they might not have had the in-business experience, but what they've got is great people skills to communicate, influence. Imagine kids in the classroom not listening to you, and you've got to deliver training in different formats. So we've had quite a few teachers, we've had people from finance backgrounds, we've had people from customer support backgrounds, we've had somebody who's a diamond retailer, we've had people working in hospitality industries. I mean, you name it, there is no sort of entry point. But people, all these stories are on our website, but people who've worked in hospitality have gone straight into Salesforce consultant roles, because they've done the groundwork and because they've pitched themselves. So we do help you practice for interviews and selling those transferable skills. People love the appetite to learn. They want to see that you're keen. They love the fact that you've invested in yourself, that you've got all this credentials. Our program is highly sort of recognized by employers because they see the value of the talent coming through and how they present an interview. So there are, I'm always blown away. I feel like a proud parent of our Supermums, really. But if you spend a bit of time looking at cases on our website, you'll get inspired by the different backgrounds.
It's amazing. Just to remind everyone, the link is on the chat. We're kind of at the end of our session. There's one more question. It was just from Mel, who's asked whether you recommend going on a returners program to refresh skills if you've not been in the workplace after a long career break, or if you've been out of IT. Do you think that's necessary before?
I mean, Supermums is a returner program in essence, in that it does provide you with a lot of those additional, the technical skills, but also some of the softer skill support as well. I think you need to sort of figure out what you're missing, and then you could take additional courses around that. So if you're not confident with Excel, then that would be something to brush up on and kind of get confident with Excel. I think there's some basic IT is probably the wrong word, but is it IT? Basic sort of, the ability to use Word and Microsoft and PowerPoint are tools. So you might need some training in that if that's something you're not familiar with.
Brilliant. Thank you, Heather. I mean, that's just been so full of information. Arlene, I see you've just posted the link to the quiz again. So, I mean, thank you. We're going to be sending out a recording of this session. So anyone who's missed anything and wants to recap, that will be available tomorrow. Heather, thank you so much. It's been great having you on today. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. Please do join us for the other events this week. Again, link in the chat, and hopefully we'll help to support you finding a fulfilling career with the flexibility that you're looking for.